Hey everybody, what's up? iPenguinPat here, and we have a brand new Battlegrounds update that was just announced today. This Battlegrounds update for 2021 is absolutely huge, so I'm just going to work through it nice and slowly. I'm going to save any concerns for another video and just talk about what's new in this update. So, before I get into this, if this video is helpful at all, please like, subscribe, and share. And if you're not part of the FOE Elite Discord, there's going to be a link in the pinned comment and in the description. Join so you can get up to date with all of the current strategies, tips, and tricks that the best guilds are using for Battlegrounds. Let's get right into it. So, the first update to Battlegrounds is the new map, and that's probably the one most people are going to be talking about. And the new map is called the Waterfall Archipelago. And here you can see that it is a hexagon-based map instead of a square-based, quadrant-based map like the previous one. And here is the blow-up of the map where you can see that this is divided into 6 sections, and we now have 5 tiers instead of just 4 tiers. So that's really interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle the siege camps. We do have a small little preview here, and you can see that there are going to be plenty of 2 siege camp sectors, and it looks like it's going to be really easy to get 4 or 5 siege camp support on almost every sector on the map now, except for these exterior sectors. So that is definitely something to keep an eye on. Again, I'm not going to get into heavy feedback on this. It's just something that is really interesting to see. But one of the best parts about this type of map is that it will make it significantly more difficult to trap enemy guilds compared to the other map. Here with this quadrant-based map, it was significantly easier to, when you are operating with a square-based map, once you take a sector, depending on which one you already owned, that significantly reduces the amount of options that you have, and it's a lot easier to block. For instance, if you own A3Z or A3Y moving inward, if somebody takes A2T, that pretty much cuts you off and you have to go around. Whereas with the new map, if somebody takes one sector, you still have other options to get around. You still have 2 options to move inward along with the options to go outward. So it just gives you a lot more opportunity to not get trapped, and it makes it so that the trapping guilds have to be on the ball that much more. We can get into more strategy details. Join the Discord, like I already said, if you want to start talking about this before any strategy videos get released. So, besides the new province, there are a lot of other things that came out that are really exciting. There is a new reward building, the Great Elephant, and I really like what Inno has done with this. We now have a 3-option building that gives you the choice between forge points, goods for guild treasury, and attack for attacking army. And as you guys all know, if it doesn't have attack, send it back. I love that we have options. And there are going to be players that are going to be excited to have the forge points or the goods for guild treasury. This is absolutely terrific. I also like that the chain buildings are also optional as well. You can get defense boost for attackers, you can get goods, and you can get forge points. This is going to be great for the new players who are just building up. This is going to be great for players with blue galaxies that are looking to double up and get those big collections. So I really like the amount of customization. It's going to be really interesting to see how these defense for attacking army values stack up compared to event buildings. I will say it is a little discouraging to see a six square building only giving 1 forge point. I think that that's going to discourage players from using that. But with all of that said, it's still going to be really good for newer players, and I do just like the fact that we have options now. We're not limited to only one reward from Battlegrounds. The next thing they added is a league ranking display, and I'm really interested to see how this ends up being implemented, because the way that it's described doesn't totally, it's not totally clear to me exactly what they're saying. But the bottom line is that they are now adding a way to see what leagues guilds have participated in and giving some sort of visual historical reference point of how the guild has finished. And I think that that is a really nice element to adding competition to Battlegrounds. Right now, that is sorely lacking. And simply by adding some sort of bragging right that guilds can point to and say, look, we did this, we did awesome, giving incentive to finish first, I definitely think is a really good thing. And again, it's going to be really interesting to see how this is implemented. I did see over here that it says that it will say how many times your guild has won in Battlegrounds, as well as the amount of guild league points held. And I'm not sure if that guild league points, if that's just talking about like literally your current league points, or if that's also additionally talking about like the amount of points that you accumulated, so that you can kind of say, whoa, that guild has just dominated the map every time. Or if it incentivizes holding sectors versus soft locking and letting your partners hang on to sectors and yada yada. I'm not going to get into it right now, but again, I really like the direction this is going. It definitely has a lot of potential to be really good. The next thing that was added are quality of life improvements. And this is something that players have been asking for a long time, and I am so glad to see it. So some of these updates include a nice little toggle where you can see the name of the sector as well as the number of building slots. And this is going to make it a lot easier for leaders to lead. It'll make it a lot easier for players to understand where they're supposed to attack. There is a really steep learning curve to Battlegrounds for a new player. So having these labels will make it much easier. And from a planning standpoint, it will make it much easier to visually be able to just look and see how many building slots are in each sector. I think that is a terrific update. Here you can also see we still have the target ignore and target focus, which is obviously going to be useful. They're saying that there's going to be some benefit of toggling on and off. I'm not really sure what that's going to look like yet, but I really like what they're going and making the information easier to get. So the next thing, this is something that players have been asking for a long time, and we finally got it. That is a log to say who conquered the sector. And this is going to be super huge for catching spies, moles, for rogue players that are continuously not following guild leader directions. This is going to make leading Battlegrounds so much better, and it's going to deter spies from joining your guild and flipping sectors and causing unnecessary strafe between guilds that are partnering together. I really love that they are finally adding this. The other quality of life feature that I really like that they added is what they call the intruded log. And what that is telling you is when a player has continued to put hits on a sector after the ignore sign is posted. Now, this is going to be extremely useful for catching those players that are always hitting once the stop sign goes up. You guys all know who I'm talking about. The ones that no matter when you put the stop sign up, they will always go and try to get those extra hits and sneak them in. They're going to get caught red-handed now. And as for a leader standpoint, this is absolutely huge. Leading Battlegrounds is one of the most difficult, time-consuming, thankless jobs of anything that you do in Forge of Empires. And it is truly a job. And it is draining. So I am so excited for leaders to have these new features to help them keep an eye on who's doing the rogue hits. And I also think that it's going to lead to better coordination among guild mates so that they are not hitting sectors they're not supposed to be hitting, so that they are following the directions. And really, it's going to just make the leadership aspect of Battlegrounds much easier to follow. And I think that it's going to add trust among guildmates, because there's always finger pointing of who did this and who did that. And now we don't have to wonder, because it's going to be right there in the logs. Thank you, Inno, for adding this. This is a great add. At this point, all I have to say is, wow. Inno has really delivered. Some of these changes are things that we have been asking for a while, and they have really hit the mark with a lot of these things. I'm really interested to see what they do with this battleground ranking and keeping track from a season-to-season standpoint. That has always been a point that I have said is a major issue, is that there is no incentive to finish first place. And I really like that now there's at least some incentive, and I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. I love the new buildings. Even if they're not the most OP buildings, even if they're not amazing, it's just going to make more attack, more forge points, more guild goods accessible to players that are building up and players that are proactive in building up their city. So I really like that. Let's go going to truly encourage participation. I like that this map is going to make it much more difficult to trap guilds. I like that it's going to make it so that support is much more flexible in how you build your siege camps and what you get from building those siege camps. There is so much to like about this update. Well done, Inno. I am really looking forward to seeing how this plays out. Last but not least, I highly encourage you to register for beta and register for the beta forums so you can leave feedback on this and let Inno know what you think. Keep up with this stuff, guys, because what you see happening on beta is what's going to come to live. And if you can give feedback early and let Inno know where things stand before they go to live, we're going to have a lot better chance of getting the game in a more playable state, in a state that's going to be more fun and enjoyable and that we're all going to love. You can, again, leave the feedback here on the beta forums. The other option is that you can go to YouTube and I will put a link to this video. Currently it's unlisted, so without the link you can't get to it. And this is the announcement update. Please come to this, leave comments here so that Inno knows what you're thinking about this update. Guys, I'm really excited. If this video was interesting to you, like, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.